What's up, everybody? Brant Phillips with Real Estate Fundamentals. So what I want to cover today is a simple, easy to use house flipping formula. I see too many newbie investors come into the real estate space and they don't even know step one, which is how to analyze a deal. So I'm going to give you a very simple to use formula. I'm going to give you some of the key characteristics of a deal, if you will. So make sure that you're focused, dialed in. This is going to be a short video, but very impactful. I'm going to share with you a formula that I've been using almost since day one, and 15 years later, we're still using this formula to analyze deals. So it's an very easy to use formula. It's very simplified, but it's incredibly important for your business, right? So one of the things that we need to do as real estate investors and real estate entrepreneurs is to efficiently and effectively build systems and processes in our business so that we can quickly and effectively analyze deals, right? Because whenever you start building up, if you've watched my 7 fundamentals training, you start building up your marketing, you start generating deal flow, and deals are coming to you, you're not going to have time to go out and drive every property. I don't go view any properties in person anymore, but you're not going to have time to do an in-depth analysis of these deals where you're taking, an hour or 2 or 3 hours or days to analyze the deal. Like, you need to create a system and basically kind of a blueprint where you can analyze these deals very quickly, right? Like cookie cutter it. So that's what we're going to show you. So this is a model that I learned 15 years ago, and it's never failed me wrong. But before I share, like a very simple kind of calculation or spreadsheet I put together for you guys, one thing I want to stress, this is incredibly important, right? That the data that you input, the numbers that you input into the calculator is critical, right? I had a friend who used to always say trash in, trash out, right? Like, if you are consuming trash in your body with your diet, what is the output of your body going to be in performance, appearance, all those types of things, right? I tell my kids this, like, who they surround themselves with, their friends, is, if they're surrounding themselves with trash in, trash out, that's going to be the result, right? So you got to have good data and input good numbers in order to get good data out of this formula. Also I want to say that, depending on where you're watching this video at in the country, in your marketplace, that things vary. So you're gonna have to take this with a grain of salt. Okay, you're gonna have to take this with a grain of salt. And what we're gonna cover here in a minute, I'm gonna kind of share with you an example of some of the deals and how we analyze deals. And some of you are gonna say, like, Brant, that's not true. Deals like that don't exist in today's market. And I'm gonna challenge you with, if that's your belief, then that is likely going to be true in your investing business. I'm telling you that I'm seeing deals like this in our market. This is what we do. Now, we spend a lot of time, energy, effort, capital, resources in our marketing to generate these deals, but that's absolutely possible for you as well. So let's take a look at this calculator. So this is, like I said, just a very rough kind of quick thing I put together for you guys. But so the ARV, right, the after repaired value, everyone should know that, but just in case I've got some newbies here, which is okay, that's how we all start. The ARV is the after repaired value. Let me define that real quickly. What that basically means is what the property's gonna be worth when it's in top of the market shape condition, right? After you've done all the repairs, you've added the value, you're going to put it onto the market. It needs basically nothing in repairs. What's that top dollar value? That's the property value that we want to input here, not what it's worth right now in a distress condition, but what it's going to be worth. So let's just use an easy number, $200,000. When I got started, 15 years ago, I would almost always put around $100,000, but things have changed, haven't they, in the real estate world? So when I input $200,000 there, you'll see that $50,000 inputs in for repairs. Why is that? Okay, why is that? Because typically we're buying distressed properties, and most properties that we buy are somewhere around 25% of, we're going to spend about 25% in repairs of that ARV. This is not a hard and fast rule. This is a general rule of thumb, okay? So what that basically leads us to our purchase price, our offer price, if you will. And so that number, this number here, and this is a key indicator of a deal, okay, is typically for distressed properties. We are usually buying properties at about 50% of the after repair value. Okay, that's a really, really important number, right? And so new investors, or just when I'm talking to, friends or family, whatever, kind of not educated, well versed in what we do, they're like, oh my God, like you're stealing it from the people. And that's maybe what they think. But when we break down the numbers and the holding costs, which I'll do in a second, that's not really the case. So if we took these numbers here, okay, and we had a total, loan, like if we got 100% financing, or a total investment amount, if we were doing it cash or whatever, the sum of our purchase price and repairs, right, like our gross just cost on those two items alone, not including closing costs, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, utilities, all that type of stuff, not including all that kind of stuff. Just purchase price and repairs, that means we would be in this deal, right? And these are HGTV numbers that you see a lot of times on How to Flip a House. They don't show the real numbers and the real costs, but we're using this to quickly analyze a deal. This would be 75% loan to value, purchase price and repairs. What this represents is a 25% equity number. I'm going to tell you right now, these are some very important things that I need you guys thinking about, considering, maybe taking some notes on, is that if you're flipping a house, number one, this would be the bare minimum amount of equity, right? So typically, let's see here, we're wanting deals at about that, right? We really want to be at the 70% number. And this is where I said, a lot of you are gonna say, Brant, those deals don't exist today in today's market. It's BS. We're closing them just about every single month. So they do. You got to work a little harder. You got to dig a little bit deeper. You got a little bit be better on your sales approach, and how you're working with sellers and showing it what it is that you do, and how you can help them, and kind of agitating their pain on the condition that their homes are in and things like that. But those deals absolutely exist. That is really what our target is that 70%. That being said, do we sometimes, buy deals at 75%? Yes, but I need to stress this also, that these are deals typically at median price point housing and below, right? So ideally, we're targeting properties that are $250,000 ARV and below, because whenever you get into the higher price points, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $800,000, number one, I don't invest in those price points anymore. I have in the past, but your holding costs, your closing costs, your buyer pool, everything goes up, and your expenses, your holding time typically greatly increases, and you don't have multiple exit strategies with those higher end deals. I'm not going to get much into multiple exit strategies on this training, but those of you who know me know that I'm all about having multiple exit strategies, and we have that in lower price housing, in medium price housing and below. We can flip them, rent them, owner finance them, wholesale them. We have a lot of different options that we can Airbnb and still cash flow, sustain our business, and be profitable at the same time. So this is what I want you guys really looking at and targeting for yourself, is really finding deals that are 70% ARV. So let me flip over to another calculator real quick. All right, guys, so I'm going to change some numbers here real quickly to go to correspond with the numbers that we put together on the other spreadsheet. Okay, so this is just a very simple, kind of bootleg spreadsheet that I created years ago. It's not the greatest in the world. There's so many better ones out there, to be quite honest with you, but I want to bring some of these numbers to life, right? And so this basically gives us some other data, right, on the property value If we sell at that price, what's our price per square foot? Because what you can do with that number is align that with numbers off your comps and see if that's reasonable. Is it low? Is it high? Where is it at? Give you a kind of a pulse on if your price per square foot number is a good one, right? On your price per sell and your price per buy, right? So another key indicator of a deal that I'll share with you real quickly is that whenever we look at a potential deal that we're buying, when we look on the MLS, we want to be buying our property, I should say. Basically, there's not been another house that has been bought cheaper in that subdivision in the last 6 to 12 months. Okay. And those are homes that are shown and sold on the MLS, right? We're buying our deals 99% of the time off the MLS. When we go look at our offers and see what we're doing, when we pull MLS comps, we're probably buying something cheaper than anything else that's been sold, right? Like comparing to distressed properties. That's another key indicator of a deal. And then we get to our rehab costs. I know a lot of you guys don't know, have that skill set yet on how to analyze repairs and your rehab costs. So this shows me if we've budgeted $50,000 for repairs, that's about $24.53 per square foot. That's a healthy budget. For a rehab, our average rehab is somewhere around $20 or so per square foot for kind of a full, rehab. Not too much heavy lifting, but doing a little bit of everything. Paint, flooring, countertops, light fixtures, all those types of things. So this is just some very useful data, right, to let you know if you're on track. If you're paying some type of assignment fee or something above and beyond that, you could input that there. But this really gives us our LTV. That's our target. Once again, just to reiterate what I said earlier, obviously we're real estate investors. We make our money when we buy, or we make it on the sell too, but we make our money on a buy. So the deeper the discount that you can get whenever you buy your property, when you're negotiating your deal, obviously the bigger potential profit, the more equity that you can capture for keeping as a rental. So there's times, guys, where we're getting deals at 60-65% all in. Once again, you don't have to believe me. That's okay. I'm just giving you the truth of what we do. Now, and sometimes, like I said, sometimes we buy and we offer higher than 70%. It kind of depends on the market, sub-market, macro, micro market, on what we're doing with that particular property. And the bottom line here, guys, to make sure that you know that you're analyzing your deals and doing when you're working your numbers, and that those numbers make sense for you, because the good data, when you're putting good data in this analyzer, it's going to help you forecast your deals and make informed decisions. Because what I want to share with you guys, if you make a couple tweaks here, I just have 10% of 1 point. That's the max that we ever pay for our money. And I'm talking about financing now. Usually or around 8% and no points. But let's say for training purposes here, let's say that you're borrowing with hard money and you're paying 12% and 3 points. Okay. Some of these are just kind of set numbers, what your insurance is going to be, taxes, utilities, closing costs, realtor commissions to sell it if you're selling it yourself, if you've got a license, which I do, and I list all my own properties, which you may want to consider doing. If you have questions about that, feel free to hit me up, show you how we kind of structure that with our agents and our team. And we're actually we have team members on my agent team across the country. So if that's something you're interested in, and someone who may be interested in talking about joining our investor agent team, then give me a shout out. But anyway, so what this shows you here is our flip gross profit is $27,699. Okay. So you may be thinking, wow, Brant, that's a pretty good deal. So I'm going to tell you it's a very marginal deal. So here's another key indicator of a deal that I learned years ago. You see this repair cost, $50,000. What does that mean? Right? So that's really the work. That's a lot of the work that you're putting into the deal. Also the risk. If you're doing $50,000 worth of work in this deal, right? This is your fulfillment on an investment deal, managing contractors and picking out supplies and dealing with, pipes breaking and vandalism and all these things, that we deal with as investors. A good rule of thumb is I would like my profit to equal the amount of construction and work that we're doing, right? That's not always the case, But that is a good rule of thumb. So on this deal is not going to be a great deal. It may be one that we still consider to do, depending on its location, macro, micro markets, things like that. But I'm telling you, this is a key indicator of not such a great deal. And then what this number doesn't also take into account is holding costs month by month. Let's say it takes you 2 or 3 months to renovate this property. I'll tell you on average, a good rule of thumb with construction is you can do $25,000 to $30,000 worth of construction a month. So at bare minimum, this is probably going to take you a couple of months of construction. Assume you'll run into some delays with weather, permits, things like that. Could be much longer. Could be 90 days. You go to market, 30, 60, 90 days to close. And if we scroll down, what is your net profit at the end of the day, right? So we've kind of highlighted green because that's typically where these flip deals shake out. So at the end of the day, if you're making 18, 16, or 13,000 after it's all said and done, is that worth it to you? And that's a question you have to ask yourself, right? And that's just is. It's like, should you renegotiate this deal? Maybe you really need to be buying it at $90,000. That can make a substantial improvement on your bottom line. And one of the last things I want to share with you here on a key indicator of a deal, on a key indicator of a good flip deal, is whenever we plug in all of our data, good data, not bad data, but when we plug in all our good data, is I want to see a net profit, worst case scenario, 12 months later, we're still holding that property for whatever reason. And I've had that happen where we've had some, major issues with the city, permits, things like that. I want to still be making a profit or at least breaking even at the end of 12 months. That means I've really, really safeguarded myself. Okay, so that's just a quick overview on a flip formula, guys. And look, here's the deal. Good numbers. The numbers that you're putting in should tell a story, and what that story should make sense to you financially for your investment model, where you're at in your business. And also taking into account, where are you at with your cash reserves? Where are you at with your time capacity? Where are you at with your contractors? You need to think about all those things, like cash reserves, for example. The number one reason real estate investors go out of business is because of a lack of cash reserves, right? So you got to think about all those things, see if these numbers make sense, and if they do, you move forward with the deal, and if they don't, right? So, I hope that's helpful to all you guys. It's just a very, very simple to use formula. 70% of the ARV minus repairs. There you go. Bada boom, bada bing. And that's going to be your purchase or your offer price. And that's as simple, right, as it is. And I hope that is helpful to all you guys. Guys, if you're getting value from this channel, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give me some comments. I'd love to help you out any way that I can. You guys take care.